It's April 1st, 2022. I'm confused. I'm watching Channel 7 Eyewitness News. It's the ABC 7 in New York. So, it's saying celebrating St. Peter's. Now again, St. Peter's, it's an Air Force reference. St. Petersburg's a Russia reference. There's some St. Peter somewhere in Florida. I don't know if it's Petersburg, whatever. This iceberg gets really confusing with the stuff on the surface, but there's just so much that goes on behind closed doors. Then there's this Peacock reference with the Air Force management team at Teal, Teal, for my cup of tea. And again, at the moment, underneath my black vest, I have my label of whatever I'm trying to do in a horseshoe between whatever and whatever. In a separate symbol other than what's on the TV at the moment to protect myself from whatever it is that others have or think that's whatever and whatever. I see the head coach went over to something called a Seton Hall. Now, again, Zerbiak would know way more than I do in basketball. It's alien speak to me, honestly. I see the team, first of all, the senator relatable to this particular university is Senator Menendez. They make mention of him. They had a big parade today. The gentleman came down on a float, but they had the Jamaican flag, it was not the Jamaican flag. It was the Bob Marley referenced flag, which is green, yellow, and red, which is confusing because I have no reference in modern New York in the year 2022 or Fish Island. I've never really seen the flag, that particular pattern referenced inside the U.S. It's not something that's spoken of or taught in the public school system that they held me captive in as I went through this whatever. So that's confusing. But this is what it looks like on their acknowledgement of one another and their celebrations and how they speak, the words that are being used at the moment.
Glassberg anchored our coverage, and Ryan joins us now with more on the Peacock Pride, which was on full display, right, Ryan?
Yes, it was. What a fun day out there in Jersey City, Sade. They were the first 15 seed in college basketball history to make the Elite Eight, and although they fell one victory short of the Final Four, they were sure treated like champions this afternoon. Flanked by police and marching bands, the players rode a float along Kennedy Boulevard, taking pictures and throwing T-shirts to the cheering crowd. Once they arrived at City Hall, there was a
Kennedy Boulevard. That is so interesting, being that there's something they always refer to as Grassy Knoll, and then there's something called a Beyonce Knoll, and she was wearing some Peridot in Compton the other day in some concert for the Oscars. I know there's a lot of vitriol that goes on, but in all the little things add up. Yeah, they do. I just don't know where the accounting office is. Why did somebody hang a shingle in my life frame and this erupt where I'm stuck here and then now I'm getting hurt?
Rally where they were presented keys to the city and had a chance to speak to their adoring fans.
And what does that keys to the city mean? Is that just in New Jersey? I mean, like, how far do those keys unlock? I'm just curious. Because usually a master locksmith, I mean, these are the really dangerous things. And are we talking who, like, Air Force? Are we talking civilians? Are we talking futures? This is like, who's running what? And then this over here. I've seen it referenced with something with Bob Marley. I thought Bob Marley claimed to be Jamaican, but the Jamaican flag looks very different. So that's confusing in humans that speak off course and off key. And then this is what the team looks like, which again is in New Jersey. And Senator Menendez looks very different, so that's confusing. They're going with a black coverall today, but the Peacocks use this shade of blue, but yet they're wearing this at the moment, and yet there's this flag, and then I saw at some point there was a Lloyd Austin reference with this, which also gets confusing because I have no idea what outfit he runs out of. It was not clear at all. He just stood before a whole row of leaf men. I just don't know what family tree the leaf men are on, that are not his leaf, but that's confusing and leave me alone. Since it wasn't labeled at all.
You know, we couldn't make history without you guys. You guys are a big part of it. This is just a great moment. It's a great moment. Thank you for everything. Peacock Nation, we made history.
And now they have a Peacock Nation. Yeah, really? That's a big step. The whole nation just for a peacock, and nobody knows what this peacock is. I mean, like, warming the cockles of whose heart? I see a lot of, like, they're celebrating one another. They're all getting along. That's progress in someone's book. But how it books for, like, shingles and how do I get out of this, wow, it's during a corona pandemic, no less, in behavioral modifications. And this is the gentleman that got moved. He now goes to something called Seton Hall. Don't know what kind of reward system that is, or if his voice is just needed elsewhere outside of this crazy town and into a different crazy town. That's never usually spoken of on front.
History, all of us, Peacock Nation, we made history.
That they did. That, of course, was former St. Peter's head coach Shaheen Holloway. Yesterday, he was introduced as the new head coach at Seton Hall, but today it was all about celebrating his Peacocks team. And Eyewitness News reporter Mike Marza was in the middle of that celebration, and he joins us now live from Jersey City. Mike.
Ryan, it was so much fun today, and it's hard to believe, but it's been...
Riding down a Kennedy Boulevard after Kennedy was shot and assassinated as a U.S. president on this territory's soil. I mean, they make these dedications and then people make missions to go after them to make big pageants and peasantry. I mean, at what point do you ask, whose scores are these that they're settling?
In 1 week since St. Peter's advanced to the Elite Eight, as you mentioned, the only 15 ever to advance to the Elite Eight, and it happened on what is National Peacock Day. National Peacock Day for the bird. Who knew there was such a thing, but there was. And today, it was really Peacock Day here in Jersey City, and they strutted their stuff. The Cinderella of March Madness is still having a ball.
I am so proud of my peacocks.
Days after their slipper fell off in the Elite Eight.
The team did an amazing job. No matter what the end result is, they are still amazing.
The Peacocks.
And what is interesting is Lynn and Lou always had peacock feathers in the house growing up. No idea why. They never mentioned it. They just told me that that's what it was and that it was a bird. And I used to look at them like, because they're beautiful.
Didn't turn into pumpkins, they strutted.
It's Peacock Pride. Absolutely. I am here to show it.
In a parade in Jersey City.
When I tell you this is a big thing for Jersey City, it's a really good thing. Don't y'all agree, ladies?
Even
I don't know why. They don't ever explain that part on my part of the television. How these people find out about these events, what the exciting locomotion, like is there a promotional thing? Is there something promised in order for the city of Jersey? There's some secret promise to like get all their happy involvement. I mean, that would be Senator Menendez's question, but again, I don't know how or where or who's allowed to speak to all these people.
Even pups turned into peacocks. Like 10-month-old Nira, a St. Peter's student herself, training to be a service dog.
We raise service dog puppies on campus, and Nira is a puppy being raised for canine companions.
Alumni,
We're from Jersey City, born and raised, so this is like double excitement.
including Senator Menendez.
It's a fantastic day. Welcome to Peacock Nation.
You know all about it.
I do. I'm honored to be a graduate of St. Peter's. And what better way than 150th anniversary to celebrate it with a fantastic group.
And the Jersey City faithful, all trying to eye their favorite players.
Especially Dougie.
Look at Dougie, look at her. Fan favorite, no doubt. We've seen some stash game out here, too.
This is for Doug. He's my favorite player, so I gotta wear the Doug stash to represent.
Gotta represent strut up for Doug. I love that.
It took him 2 weeks to grow that.
Very
Lovely
impressive.
stash.
Congratulating this small school with enormous stature. Even though their basketball run didn't culminate with that storybook ending, they certainly wrote a new chapter of Peacock Pride.
That just shows you that with grit and heart, anything is possible. We can compete with the big universities that have million-dollar budgets. It's definitely possible.
So much pride out here today, and I have to tell you, a lot of fans are now wondering, is this really the beginning, not the end, but the beginning of something special? I think back to that Cinderella run Gonzaga, for instance, made it in the late 90s. Now it is a perennial powerhouse in the tournament, so we'll see. A lot of excitement here in Jersey City. Ryan, we'll send it back to you.
Mike, and we're quite certain there were no peacocks harmed in the making of that video. Certainly a day these young basketball players won't soon forget, but all of a sudden there is another...
Yeah, like this pride thing, I don't get it. I don't get why humans participate. Like, I mean, it looks like it's a lot of fun, like camaraderie, but usually it's stirred up by some kind of money or promise of some sort, because otherwise they just look something like what I got going on, which is just zombies in the field, walking like with like they've got their own daily purpose, but they don't speak about it. They don't talk about Bruno, whatever's going on in their head. So it's a little confusing when I see so much pride and then I see so much confusing painting going on landscaping. And then I'm watching as like my children are completely kept out of all of this. And then there's the big symbols, the little symbols. And I'm like, what, where, and what is the purpose? And who started all of this? And why was I kept in such a position left out of it? Now, also interesting today, Lee Goldberg is wearing the Girl Scouts color. I thought that was very interesting for weatherman and meteorologist. He was wearing purple. No idea what purple is, if that's like a purple potato as opposed to my couch potato. It gets really confusing how the humans are painting their objectivity in this, whatever this is. Let me pull that up. Now, what's interesting is yesterday there was a giant weather alert on here saying there was going to be thunder and there was going to be huge storms. I waited. There was a lot of rain yesterday. There was no lightning or thunder whatsoever. Snow acoustics and no light show for like really simple ecology and echo chamber. But now here, this is what he's wearing today. I noticed they said Girl Scouts are changing from green to purple just briefly today for just a small window in honor of something. Don't know what. And then they're going back. So I guess he's supporting whatever the Girl Scouts are up to again. I made an attempt, but apparently they did not pursue, so I don't know what to do about that. I also noticed that the arrows today are going in a completely opposite direction of where they normally are on this AccuWeather satellite radar.
In over northwest New Jersey, and there are even some snowflakes happening, ice pellets into the Catskills and Poconos. So I think we have to deal with these for another couple of hours, and then things will stabilize after sunset. We'll clear out, and it'll just be brisk and chilly overnight. The one exception may be a snowflake and still...
Now this is what's interesting. The arrows are pointed this direction. When the last couple of meteorologists report show that they were coming up this way, but now they're coming this way.
Reach the mountains during the overnight hours. Our wind gusts have been cranking near 40 miles an hour. They will tail off, but the wind never totally goes away tonight, still around 10 to 20 miles an hour. But with these temperatures, those lower numbers, that's the wind chills. They'll drop down to freezing or even into the 20s over...
Single cells with some magnetic compass of their own in some rechargeable source, and having to display that in the different parts of the stratosphere and ground control, and whether the polarization between upper atmosphere and ground, being terra firma, is interacting properly for proper biogenetic safety. So we're not absorbing and conducting electricity in some odd format. I find it really interesting that of late, they on the whatever are showing the actual direction with how's that calculated, like outside of quantum computing fields. If you lost all access to those fancy keyboards and to those fancy remote controls, how would you gauge on a lone survivor mission to see which way? But you did have a microscope, because hey, why not? But not the fancy electron microscopes. Just got a basic community college microscope. Just so you could gauge magnetic polarization. It really would be handy to have one man. The man, that's the one. Just saying. It's star 1978, star 8378, Nicole, Cattaruzza. It's Earth, Solar System, Milky Way, Universe, Galaxies, Broken. It's Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361.